I've introduced them, and let us start with something very light, right? The topic today is about collaboration, right? We all know that a good product is as a result of effective collaboration amongst all these professionals, right? So I'm going to start with a very light question for all of them, which is what in the past, what belief do you usually have about collaboration that has actually changed with the invent or advent of AI now? So I'm going to start with Dennis.
All right. All right. I believe everyone can hear me, right? You can hear my deep voice, my deep bass voice. Okay. All right. So, to be honest, with the advent of AI, I was very skeptical, right? Because, so contrary to popular opinions, I'm not the guy that easily, adapts to things, right? I mean, I've been forced to, but I'm not the kind of person that does that. So, for instance, whenever I go to a restaurant, even if they're selling everything, I'll still buy jollof rice or fried rice. So, all this macaroni and stuff, nah, that's not me. I will stick to what I know, right?
Yeah.
So, with the advent of AI, like I was skeptical at first, not using AI as a tool, especially for collaboration, right?
Yeah.
But over time, I've come to realize that I personally feel, and I think probably everyone else shares this opinion as well, you cannot effectively carry out your duties as, say, designer, manager, whatever it is you are right now, without using AI, right? So
Yeah.
I like to see AI as my number one collaborator right now. I saw a tweet, someone saying that she has made AI a friend, that she actually talks to AI. So you just turn on
Yeah.
the voice and you say, hey, and then AI replies to you. So I think that's really what has changed over the time, over the years rather. With the advent of AI, I now know that you need AI. You need to collaborate with AI to have an effective, design career and business. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you very much. I'll move next to Badebo. Can you?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm probably the opposite of his voice because he started with a thick voice, and when I when I pick up the phone, people go hello ma rather than hello sir. 80% of the time, and I got tired of explaining myself to people. Um, but I agree with what he said that AI is your first collaborator. I see AI as a productivity tool, and it's meant to get you from point A to point B much faster. And when you're trying to do certain things, you can always delegate some of those things you want to do to AI. At times, you delegate your thinking, which I absolutely do not recommend, but you delegate other things to AI, and it helps you get those things done much faster. So I believe AI is a force multiplier. It's a productivity tool that helps you get from point A to point B 10x.
Thank you very much, Badebo. Lastly, Micah.
Hi everyone. Okay. Good morning everyone. Happy to be here. So my thoughts on that would be that um, in my line of work, it's very possible and very easy to delegate your thinking to AI, which is what Debo said, and I think I'm just going to pick it from there. There is uh, there is a thought that I hold about the use of AI, which is AI is a velocity multiplier. Right? I'm a program manager. I work with Jira a lot. Right? Some people call it Jira. Just don't call it Jira. You know. So I work with Jira a lot, and velocity is a big deal. You know, in terms of the work that I do. So AI is something that can help you multiply your velocity positively or negatively. And what I mean is, if you have a good, if you have a good team sync, if your team is on track, you guys, you know what you're doing, not just that you have an idea and AI is doing 60% of the work that you do. AI would help you multiply, your velocity. But if you don't and you're using AI to look like you do, AI would help you multiply your chaos. Okay, so that's what I think. Yeah, cheers.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to backtrack. Badebo, you said something about AI is more of a productivity tool, right? So to Dennis, that is a creative, right? You're a designer. So would you consider AI more of a productive tool as well than a creative tool for you? So the question is to Dennis.
Okay. So when someone asks a very tough question, you're like, that's a good question. So you use that to try to think about the answer. So that's a good question. So I do think AI is more of a productivity tool than creative tool. It all depends on how you use it. I don't think AI has gotten to the state, especially with regards to design, where it's all that creative.
Yeah.
At the moment, if you use platforms like Lovable, Google Stitch, Gemini, you will notice that the designs are, in quotes, inferior, right? I don't think that's where it will be forever. AI is fastly evolving.
Yeah.
But there are things AI does to just help. For instance, there's almost everything that we used to struggle to do before with regards to this. I think it just went. Okay. All right. Okay. My voice is even deeper now. So everything that we used to do with regards to research, AI can now do basically everything. Competitor analysis,
Yeah.
user persona, like AI does all that. And that's really what being productive is. That's your okay. I think the battery is just- So that really is what being productive is. That you're able to, like he said, get from point A to point B. But not just that. If it takes you, say, 10 hours in the past to do that, with AI, you can get it done in like 30 minutes, right? So I think Elon Musk was saying something that I think is called the Parkinson's principle. I'm not going to go into deep into that, but it was basically like, if it's going to take people 10 years to get something done, why not do it in 1 year if you can? So AI does that for us, right? And in the creative aspect of things, I think AI does that as well, right? Maybe you're trying to come up with an idea, you could just tell AI. So say, for instance, you're a logo designer, right? You take the client brief and you take it to AI and ask, okay, what concept do you think I can create with this, right? So yes, I'll say AI is more of a productivity tool. Now, one thing, and I'll just end here, one thing I usually do with AI, because I've realized that, and I hope I'm not going to answer it.
Yeah, probably should just hold on.
Okay, I should just, okay, all
Yeah,
right.
so let's get into the real deal now. So the first question I have for the three of you, whoever can answer, is collaboration has always been the key to great product. Do we all agree? Okay, yeah. So currently now, how do you think that AI is changing that equation? So, Badibo, you go first.
Um, okay, yeah. So AI is changing how we collaborate. In terms of it is helping us get things done much faster.
Yeah.
Much faster than we naturally would. So, for example, there was this case study I was reading. It was an article about Shopify and a new product they were working on. And usually, it's always designers have like the mock-ups in Figma. They share it with the engineering team. Then there's the product manager there who is defining like PRD and whatnot. And the engineering team goes out to build out those designs.
Yeah.
But there is usually a lot of back and forth between the engineering team, the product manager, and the designers on this should change, this is what should happen, this is what should happen. But then the designers vibe coded the entire application. Now, we know that the vibe coded application is not production ready. The engineers still have to actually build the product.
Yeah.
But the designers they weren't just sharing like mock-ups where you're just moving from screen to screen. They're actually sharing a prototype that works exactly the way they envisioned it to work. And they didn't really need to know how React works to build that. They just had to like prompt something and it generated that output. And they kept prompting it to give them the kind of user experience they wanted, end to end. And then the engineers, so they could now go from there and share that with the engineers and share the Figma designs with the engineers. And the engineers were actually able to build the product. Now, did it help them do their design work faster? Maybe no. But it did help them communicate better with the engineering team. And they had a better understanding of what the designers wanted the experience to look like.
Okay.
And because of that, it made collaboration much seamless. There was no, what if this works this way? If I click this, what should this animation really look like? Because all of that was already vibe coded. They just needed engineers to make the application production ready.
Okay.
So So that's the same example is a very good example of how collaboration can be much faster when we use AI as a force multiplier.
Okay, I'll come back to that. Let's have you, Micah.
Hi. Okay. So I'm going to take this in two approaches. The first would be, who do we see as a teammate, right? In the age of AI, I want you to start thinking about AI agents as your colleague, right? The person that you text on Slack, the person that you text on Microsoft Teams. So you start to think about AI agents is just like that my colleague that I just text that if I wanted to do this thing for me and send it to me in 1 hour. You guys know what I'm saying. So start to think about it like that. That is one of the ways I think we need to start thinking about collaboration in this age. Is going beyond Felicia to Micah or to Debo, right? Is we're going to machine to Micah, Micah to machine. Okay. Then the next part is the next way I'm going to talk about this is in terms of the different roles and responsibilities. So there most likely a couple of people here, you started to think about it that, oh, this thing that I'm learning now, will AI not disrupt my career path? I'm learning software engineering, but people can vibe code. So why do they even need me? Maybe what I'll say would help. The difference between humans and machines would always be there, all right? And I think everybody needs to start to see that. So humans, we would always have empathy, and would always have context, all right? Even with the current AGIs that we have, right? With that, I mean, AGIs that we currently have, they have the ability to take in a lot of context, give you a lot of responses that are contextualized. However, take for example a product designer, right? The another name for product designers is what? UI UX designers, right? So what's it called?
Sure.
What?
UI.
Yeah, UI. So user
Interface.
interaction, user interface, right? So that part is not something that's, in my opinion, maybe in 10 years or 50 years, I don't see where machines will get to the point where they can read your mood. So during your user research phase where you're gathering the ideas for your product, you're interacting with somebody, there are some things you're listening in for. You're listening in for cues to how a question that you ask them, how it struck a chord within them. Has anybody been in that situation before? Where you are interacting with a user trying to get insights and they are sharing something very emotional to you. AI may not be able to interpret that. So you think about, so in the age of AI, humans will always be superior in terms of our human interaction, our connection with the human emotion, how we empathize, how we create software. I can vibe design, vibe code everything, and I'll get it out in 1 hour. I'll launch it. I just founded a product, and I'll say I'm co-founder, something, you know. But the product is pretty much useless if it's not meeting a user need. Do you guys get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I think we should be looking at it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Micah. So even if we're given one full day to discuss this, we will see, keep on going. So for the purpose of our time, I would appreciate that we are more snappier with our responses. So about you, Dennis. Thank you.
All right. So tackle this from three perspectives, right? How the question really is how AI helps collaboration. That was what you.
Yes, how is the equation of collaboration changing within a team?
Okay. So post AI, I used to have arguments with my product managers, developers. The fight between designers and developers will never end.
Yeah.
But for the case of this, designers are better. Just for the case of this one, don't tell them I said so. All right. So first off, let me look at the angle from how I interact with my product manager now in the age of AI. So with a platform like Lovable, my product manager can now like actually prototype what he wants me to work on. So no matter how much you write things down, no matter how good the PRD is, it doesn't beat actually seeing the app in action, right? So AI does that. Now, in relating with developers as well, there's something called Figma Make. How many of you know Figma Make? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. It's just a lot of things that it can do. So one of those things is you can now create prototypes so easily on Figma.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you're having conversation with developers, no matter how you try to explain a static design, they just can't see it. But when you now move that static design to something that's actually usable, then they see it, they know how to, implement it. So I think in terms of communication, AI has really bridged the gap. Now, another issue I commonly had when I post, before AI rather, was figuring out what direction we should use, right? So I like to believe that, yes, the stakeholders have high priority, but what matters the most is actually the users, right? And once you can convince the stakeholders that this is what the users want, they probably will go with that direction. So before, we'd had to probably do a lot of user interviews, usability testing. But with AI now, you can just take your, maybe a screen, a mock-up, take it to ChatGPT, and just, use a very good prompt. Be brutally honest. Don't deceive me. Tell me what a user would first see when they look at this design. Now, you take the feedback almost instantly, and based on how trained these LLMs are, right, they can give you, to a very large extent, good stuff. So you take that feedback and take it back to the team. So, like I said, and because of time, it just makes the whole feedback system communication loop just very fast, almost immediately. So that is what AI has been able to do to collaboration. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. You all spoke about how it made communication or the things that you as a particular professional can get done. So would you think that it's just exposing the poor collaboration that we've had before now? Because you were talking about Figma Make. There are things or there are processes for you to actually be able to tell your developers certain things. Yeah, I can say it's augmented right now, but in my opinion, right now, I think that it's not only helping us things to, be much better. I just think that it's exposing the the things that people were not doing. Because in the past, people will be like, "Oh, that's not my forte. I'm not supposed to be the one in charge of maybe the interactions as a designer now." Or you're saying that, "Oh, this is what my PM has given me. This is the product spec I've received, and that's what I'm going to do." Even if you feel that it's not going to help the user themselves. What's your take on that?
So
Dennis now.
you're actually very right. And I feel like two things that makes collaboration hard between human beings. Number one is lack of clarity, and two is ego.
Okay.
So you make a design, you send it to a developer, and it's like, this can't work.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
what he's really trying to say is, I can't do that. But he
That's
doesn't want
true.
to come clean. I had that a lot, and it was so annoying. But right now, let's see that guy, that developer, Abi.
It's actually true.
All right. So the thing is, but now that there's AI that can actually, I feel like what AI has done is it has made a lot of people sit up,
Exactly.
right? So you say it can be done, but we give it to AI and it does that almost immediately. So what are you saying,
Okay.
right? And also with the ego thing is, now that AI can actually do this stuff, people are now more open to, okay, I might not be able to do it, but I can work with AI to get it done, right?
Yeah.
And then with the part of clarity, there are a plethora of things, but I'll just say this too, because I know they have other stuff to
Yeah.
add to it. Now, on the part of clarity, based on how writing PRDs used to be, the product manager just has to sit down, write it down, think about things and all that. Now, a PRD can be as long as 5 pages, and you take it to an LLM. Break this down in a way that even a primary 2-year-old child can understand.
That's
And
true.
then it gives it back to you, and now you have clarity about the product. So the pushback of, oh, I don't understand this, having to call the PM back and forth, AI solves that problem. So I think these two things has really, again, helped collaboration and just, like you said, it exposed the issue we had before, and it's making it better now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So we've been talking about the benefit, it makes this better, we're getting things done faster. And then there is nothing that has its disadvantage that doesn't. So I would want you to share personally the challenges that you think have, arise from you working with AI, whether it's in the terms of the product itself or even working with other people on the team. Micah, let's have you.
So, as someone that likes to train, right? I from time to time I facilitate trainings. Um, Something I've been telling my learners recently is you need to be very good, right? Uh, I have a take that's may not be very accurate, or some people may not like it, but the role of junior designers, junior developers, things like that, they are facing out, and you need to be aware of it. Um, the future product team looks like this. AI agents, once again, the salary that you'd have the founder would have paid to a junior developer will be paid to an AI agent that can deliver faster than a senior product designer that can review the work of the AI. Do you see? So you need to start to think about that, right? So that's one of the disadvantages I see. I see that people are competing against AI. So you're not competing against people that you learn together. You're competing against Gemini 3 Pro that just came out yesterday night. So that's your competition. So I think we need to just think around it in that. Then the second thing would be there's a risk of, since we're talking about collaboration, there's a risk of siloed communication, siloed product delivery, because great products are products that have been built by good teams sharing feedback, sharing thoughts. Oh, I think we should do this. Or I think we should do this. Or I think this would work for the user. Oh, for this user research that we had, I think this will work. So great products have been built like that. But going forward, I see that somebody can just sit down on their laptop. I don't say MacBook, but yeah, someone can just sit on their laptop. I have a product idea. I generate the UI. I generate the code. I know how to deploy. I deploy it. I go for an event where I can get some funding. I get funded $1 million. And in 2 years, I disappear and I repeat the cycle. So there's a risk of that, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Gbadebo, can we have you?
Yeah, I think for me, I think it's from the perspective of trust. And I would say trust in two sense. AI hallucinates a lot. AI hallucinates a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
So personally, I use AI for communication to improve like my communication. Each time I want to like send maybe like a document on Confluence or something to my team, I first use AI to optimize and ask it, how can I improve it? How can I do this? But then at times AI makes things up. And I see this especially with like vibe coding, for example. There's this thing called the 70% rule of AI. And it's a rule that just says AI can get to 70% all the way, but how do you go from 70% to 100%? And what is lacking in that 30% is really trust. And when I'm saying AI, I'm saying LLMs, and I'm also saying AI agents, because we're getting to a phase where we're not just interacting with LLMs. We have agentic systems that are taking actions for us, that are interacting with us. And how much power do we give this agentic system, especially when at times they make things up based on, it doesn't necessarily have to be in its training data. It just does like a similarity mapping between things it has experienced in the past, and it just makes up something random. So what level of trust should we be giving to AI? And there was this initiative that we ran at my company. We called it All Star Postman, and it was an SEO thing where we wanted, because it's an API company, we wanted every search term around APIs to redirect back to our platform, because we're an API platform.
Okay.
So it was like 3-4 years ago when AI wasn't as mainstream, and we're doing like a lot of blog posts and whatnot, targeting specific keywords. So when you're searching for relevant things, it's coming back to our content. if we're using the LLMs that we had today to do that, it would have helped with productivity. But also, like very recently, we tried doing something similar this year, and we realized that a lot of the content we were generating, even though they were good content and the AI seemed very confident, a lot of it needed to be rewritten because it was making things up around specific concepts or building specific workflows. So it's really shows that even though we are using like AI as a productivity tool, there always has to be a human in the loop. There has to be someone reviewing the things it is generating, either it is design, either it is code, either it is content. And when an autonomous system is taking actions on your behalf, especially actions around things that require some form of authorization or payment, there needs to be someone looking over its shoulders and just confirming that it is doing the right things. So it's not making like the wrong decision. So I think where AI is still very much lacking is trust.
Okay, thank you very much. So interesting, actually, what Denny said about telling the AI, be brutally honest. I'm going to get the content and tell it you're wrong. And sometimes to agree that, oh, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. So imagine if I had actually, flown with whatever thing he has given me and not actually put it back to it, right? So that take on trust and hallucination. Like a lot of times I'll be like, no, you're mixing it up. This is what I gave you. Give it back to me and all of those things. So yeah, I agree on that. Dennis.
So basically, every now and then you have beef with AI.
Yeah. I don't trust you that much.
All right. So I wrote some things down here. My first fear with about the rise of AI is, by the way, the father of AI also has fears. Right?
Yeah.
There was a video that went out and it was like he's afraid of what AI is becoming.
Yeah.
We've all seen that movie by Will Smith.
Oh.
You guys have not seen that movie. I
think
think it
I've
was
seen it.
iRobot.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine AI was speaking to you guys. Okay, well, all right. So my first fear is AI would create lazy, and I'm a designer, so permit me to use my industry.
Yeah.
I feel AI will create lazy designers, right? When you can get almost everything from Gemini. There was a time before AI that we had people that actually went deep into their skill sets, right? Because anybody that's really deep and knows what is stuff would even be better at using AI.
Yes.
So I feel
that's
like
true.
AI would reduce the skill level of people. That's my first fear. Now, the second thing is I think AI might affect empathy. Now, I've worked with teams whereby they only got feedback from AI. The problem there is you're actually designing for people. There's something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? One of those needs is that people want to feel safe. Now, AI doesn't have that need. AI doesn't need to feel safe. So if AI is giving you feedback on whether or not this app makes someone feel safe, the question is, does it really make them feel safe? You can only know this when you actually reach out to the individuals that you are designing this product for.
Yeah.
So I think AI would affect that as well. Then, of course, everybody knows that. Like he said, I think junior designers' roles are being wiped away by, AI. I also think that AI would also affect design thinking. There was a time in design whereby, I think some people still do it. You leave your laptop, pick up your pen and a
Yeah.
paper, and just sketch your
Scribble,
ideas.
yeah.
Because like the human mind, I feel like we don't use up to 10% of our brain. Maybe, I don't know. But when you force yourself to actually think, you will come up with stuff. And this is another thing. Like I said earlier, AI is getting creative, no doubt. But there's a level of creativity that when you see it, you know that this is someone's deep thinking. AI can't get you that, at least for now, right? So you need to, I feel like AI affects that. Then another thing is, I see these things on LinkedIn. I can tell these days when people write with AI. LinkedIn is full with a lot of AI stuff. It's so bad that even the comment section.
It's AI.
So, and I'm like, bro. So I just make a post that maybe I make a post on so happy joining the panel session at DevFest. And you see the response. I am truly moved by your interaction. Your comments don't pass my post. So, right,
That's
I think
true.
standing out would be affected by AI because everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? So your uniqueness will not be able to come out if you're always using AI. Then again, don't get me wrong. AI can help. Like he was saying about the 70%, your 30% needs to be there.
Yeah.
That's what makes you unique.
Yeah.
And the final thing is not knowing how to use AI, right? Are you aware that both of us can use AI for the same task? He might get a better result than I do because
Yeah.
he knows how to use better prompts.
Yeah.
So I feel like not knowing how to use AI is also a disadvantage. And I personally think that as much as you can, take courses on prompt writing, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it from
Okay.
me.
Thank you very much. So, this question is targeted at Gbadebo. It's on documentation, right? So we've got mostly the products that are coming out these days. They are AI driven. You know, AI has a larger role to play in it. So, in that kind of a cycle, where do you think documentation is at the moment?
Um, if there's anything AI is very good at, AI is very good at writing, and it is interestingly very confident at writing things.
Okay.
But that human element also has to like reflect. Like he talked about prompting and prompt engineering,
Mm-hmm.
and at times the output you get from an AI system is only as good as the prompt that you provide to it,
Yeah.
and your prompts can only be as good as what you know. There needs to be that domain knowledge. So if a designer is trying to, not shade to designers, but if a designer is trying to like create, maybe use Figma Make to produce an application, for example, uh, they can define the UI interactions in a way that an engineer or an engineering manager would not be able to define the UI interactions.
Yeah.
But as maybe an engineering manager, for example, if I wanted to prompt an output from that agentic tool, I would be able to define the engineering standards and what I think a performance system should look like,
Yeah, that's true.
and the things that I think will make that system scale in a way that a designer would not be able to. So two people trying to get the same output out of an AI system, but their domain knowledge is one of the things that differentiates them. And it's the same for writing. When you're trying to like write an article about a specific topic, usually when I want to like write articles, I do a lot of research, read blog posts, read documentations, etc. before I go ahead to like start writing the content. But these days, at times, I do one of both ways. I either use the AI to first ideate
Yeah.
that I want to write an article on this. I'm not asking you to write the article. What do you think should be included in this article? Then I jot down all of those bullet points, and then I can prompt it again to maybe create like a first draft pass for me if it looks good. But oftentimes, I do not want to delegate my thinking to AI. At times, I start by drafting something first. I draft out what my chain of thoughts looks like. This is what I want to achieve from this article. Then I do like a first draft of the article itself based on my domain knowledge. Then I'm able to prompt the AI. How do you think this can be improved? What is missing here? And I'm not just telling it, how do you think this can be improved? I'm giving it information around who the target audience is,
Context.
what persona of people am I trying to approach,
Yeah.
and if I'm trying to come from a friendly tone of the article, or if it's an educational content, and I'm trying to come from a thought leadership POV, for example, in like the content I'm putting out, me providing that extra information on who the target audience is, what tone I want the content to have, and how I want it to feel from a draft that I already have when I've already initially ideated with the AI, just helps me produce better outputs. And of course, there's like my domain knowledge coming in on that specific topic when the AI is generating stuff, and I'm like, nah, that's trash. Please take it out. But yeah, it just helps me get from point A to point B, not only faster, but much better. Because now I'm not just using it as a tool, I'm using it as a partner.
Yeah, thank you very much. So one last question so that we can allow our audience for questions. So still to Gbadebo, you mentioned, both of you, we've been talking about prompt engineering, knowing how to, prompt it to give you back the content. So I want to ask that, do you think that we're moving away from you building first and documenting later to actually having the documentations as the single source of truth, then building from it?
So I think that's very much changing. And it's one of the things I'm talking about in my later session today. Because in my role as a developer advocate, I see myself as a teacher, and we try to teach developers how to use developer tools in different ways. And 100% of the time, that's via content. Either we're writing, creating blog posts, recording videos, speaking at a conference, etc. And one of the things that we discovered is that the way in which developers experience content has changed over years. So let me give a very good example. Like a year ago, when ChatGPT launched ChatGPT Search, which was a Chrome extension, we figured that a month after that was launched, almost 60% of our referral was no longer coming from Google. All the traffic from our page, over 60% of it, was coming from LLMs, ChatGPT, Gemini, because ChatGPT Search just opened people's eyes to the fact that ChatGPT is not just a tool that you prompt and get text from. You can actually use it to like search for things.
Yeah.
And even though those numbers have changed now, I mean, Google Search is still like very much relevant. It means that developers are not just discovering your content through search anymore. They are also discovering your content through interactions with LLM, and they're discovering your landing pages, your documentations through interacting with LLMs. If you are using some AI coding tool, for example, like Cursor, and Cursor is a very good learning body. I use Cursor to learn a lot about even my own code base and stuff. And I'm prompting it, and it is referencing things from documentation. Maybe it's trying to do something and doesn't quite know how to do it. Then it's actually referencing things from the documentation itself and producing outputs. So it means that we now have two classes of consumers. Humans are not just the consumers of our documentations, but AI and LLMs are also consumers of the documentation that we are putting out, which means that the strategy we take to making our documentations discoverable to humans is not just enough. There's now something called GEO, which is different from SEO, which is generative something optimization. Instead of search engine optimization, generative engine optimization, where you are optimizing your contents for LLMs for discoverability. And there's like multiple ways in which that can be done. There's now this specification that came out that they call LLMs.txt that you provide in addition to like your site maps on your page to make it easily discoverable for LLMs training data when they're discovering that content. There are ways in which you can create like a knowledge base and expose it as a tool to different agentic systems. So when they need to augment their context for things that they don't have in their training data, they can make efficient use of all of those tools. So I really think the way in which developers are going to be experiencing content moving on is changing rapidly. Developers are going to be spending less and less times reading documentation and more time learning from LLMs, and we need to adapt to that change as people creating content on how content isn't just appealing to humans, but also appealing to LLMs, which would eventually pass down that content to humans.
Okay. Thank you very much. Please, let's give a round of applause for our speakers so far. So we're going to take questions now. If you have any question you want to ask them, maybe 2 or 3. You?
All right, thank you. I want to add to what Badibo said. All right, so I remember you mentioned that you were trying to optimize like your website for a lot of SEO keywords, and that you guys were stressing time to write content for each of those keywords. So there's a better approach to do that. They call it programmatic SEO, right? So I don't know if you know about that yet now, but if you want to target a lot of keywords like that, say you have 1,000 keywords you want to like mass publish on your website, you can do programmatic SEO. So what you need to do is to like set out the content template, the focus keyword, then use AI to fill in feeds that you already like called out in your content templates, and that way you can make sure that the content that you're writing, that you're dishing out, is aligning with the goals of whatever you want to do, you want to rank for at Postman. And then also you mentioned about LLMs. I know a lot of people don't know how to make their website be equally seen on sites like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Claude. So you can now do that, just like the way robots.txt works for search engines. LLM.txt is something you can add to your site. What LLM.txt does is it makes ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, all those LLMs to be able to like cite your site, just like how robot.txt works. The Google search engine spider crawls your site. Now, this LLMs.txt allows this ChatGPT and the likes to be able to like cite and reference your site in ChatGPT. So if you're trying to like increase your revenue, if you're trying to like get such traffic, now is the good time and the best time to leverage on LLMs or TST because it's going to give you such traffic. I started a store as of last month, a perfume store actually, and then a good use case was
First.
someone who found out my store from ChatGPT, and the person is based in Benin. He wants to get perfumes, and we processed that order yesterday, all from ChatGPT.
Wow, amazing. Thank you for sharing. But do you have anything to say to that? Do you have anything to say to that?
Because of our time, I'd want to give someone else an
Okay,
opportunity to
that's
ask
fine.
questions.
Any other question? The mic.
My question is, when you were speaking, you made mention of some software to learn prompts or something like that. So I don't know if there's any, yeah, prompt engineering. So I don't know if you can mention probably there's an app or something that we can use for that.
Yeah.
So I can pick that. I think different LLM providers provide a very good guide on prompt engineering, and they're like very like interesting principles that you can follow, like providing one-shot examples to the LLMs, etc. I think OpenAI has a very good prompt engineering guide. So if you just Google prompt engineering guide by OpenAI, that's something. There's also like a broader scope of prompt engineering now, which is also like context engineering, which is like much broader, and it's pretty much you giving your LLM an expo. But that's if you're like building an agentic tool, by the way, not if you're like prompting the LLM directly. But OpenAI has a good prompt engineering guide, and I think Anthropic has a good context engineering guide. You could just Google that and read about them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. After you, then.
So just to add, amazing stuff, by the way. Just two things that you could do to also help your prompt is always learn to give your LLM an identity, right? So, for instance, you want to make a post on LinkedIn, you can use something like imagine yourself as a UI UX designer that works with Facebook, Meta, and the likes, right? Create a content that would, so you need to learn to give your LLM a personality. And another thing you can also do is you can tell your LLM to make your prompt better, right? So give you back your prompt in a better way for them to be able to give the best answers, right? So just those two things.
Yeah. Last person.
In addition to what he said about giving your LLM an identity, so you say, as a UI designer working in Nigeria, I'm trying to build a product that does this for this kind of people. The goal is for this product to do this. Do you understand? So you just give it as much context as possible. Then another thing you want to try is, say you want to create a post or an article. You can give the LLM a sample of your previous writings. So some things that you've written before, that you wrote by yourself, give the AI, say, okay, based on this. So taking from what Debo said, so you've ideated with the AI, you want to write an article on 5 points. So you give the AI, okay, build on this, write in this similar tone to what I've written before, then to give you something more realistic and less machine sounding text.
Thank you very much. We've come to the end of the panel session, and I hope you were able to, pick one or two from the session. Thank you very much. Yeah.